Hello, welcome to my overview of the Space Shooter tutorial, the changes I've made to it to make it more modern and Unity 5e. Firstly, I started with a 2D canvas, and that required a hell of a lot of changes. Like, for one, the coordinate system is different. As you can see, Y, X, whereas in the game it's X and Z. Yes. This required a lot of changes, especially. Oh, actually, let's go back. This required changes to all the colliders, but wasn't quite necessary, but it was useful. I have a different hierarchy because I felt that his hierarchy was. Actually, no. I felt that it was a bit flawed. Also, because certain things didn't quite translate properly between 3D and 2D. For one, rotations, which I will talk about in a bit. One here, rigid body 2D, polygon colliders 2D. That all had to be on the root element because of the rotation issues. For some reason, when you rotate the mesh. When you rotate the 3D mesh, the 2D collider changes if it's attached to the object. It's understandable, but difficult. Annoying. X rotated 270, whereas the original 3D, it was 0. Here hasn't much changed, except for here, the rotation here is 90. Actually, why would I change that to 270? Nothing. It goes back to 90. Lighting, I just stuck it down here. No reason behind it. It's the same thing he did. Yeah, you'll notice some differences in the coordinates I used there. I just use my own coordinates. The boundary was tricky. It had to be square. The cube mesh that he was using wasn't working properly. But it's more efficient this way. And this is a rigid body 2D with box glide 2D. Game controller, all the same. Except for my variable names, they're a bit different. I made them, you'll see later. That's the same. Ooh, here's an interesting one. For some reason, the guy was using pixel offsets rather than using relative units, which he could type in, and he was using the excuse of scroll bars. And he could just type it in. So I just used some basic 0.025 and 0.975, and 0.975 is 0.975, and 0.5, 0.5. That was much easier than messing it and using 10 pixel offsets. In my opinion, your opinion may vary. Background. Oh, you will notice this is a 1024 by 768 window rather than he's 900 by 600, I think. It was just easier for my monitor, and the web view seems to have been deprecated as of 5.3, so I decided to just make it a standalone game. I will hit play now. You'll see the game. Oh, I accidentally hit unplay. As you can see, this is single take. Damn. I'm not very good at this. I suck at this. I was doing better earlier. Those bullets take way too long to go off the screen. As you can see, it works. So let's switch to Xamarin Editor, which I use because I just feel it works nicer and has been recommended by a friend. You'll immediately see that the variables have different Pascal case. The standard that I've found is that, go away, is that public always starts with a capital letter. Privates start lower. However, he was starting all the publics and privates with lower. If this came into true because I changed something that he did here. I will note that this is old syntax, but Unity does not support the new syntax, and Unity does not support the get syntax. What he did was, to start with, he had a public int score, public integer of score, and then he changed it later to a private integer of score. I didn't agree with this, but I saw his reasoning, so I decided to duplicate the score, and then whenever score changes, where is it? There. Whenever score changes, I update score. So as Unity can get full access to the variable, but it cannot edit the variable, which is important. Assume if this was going to production, I would remove that integer because it's just meh. It's not useful. But for just this messing around, it's useful. You'll notice here, rather than using onTrigger exit, which you know would make sense, Unity developers, I had to switch it on trigger exit 2D and collider 2D because it's obviously a 2D collider. Apparently 2D objects cannot collide with 3D things, which I found out to my dismay. An annoying dismay. Here, rigid bodies 2D, as you would expect. And again, variable change. Here is an interesting one. I could not use rigid body rotation to rotate the object, as that would only rotate clockwise. What I needed was to rotate in 3 dimensions, which is what he was doing, so I had to rotate the mesh. As you'll see, I have to run this every single time, whereas with him, in his script, he just initiates the velocity and it's done. So, yes, I use the same values. Oh, and I had to do timed out time, as otherwise it would rotate insanely quickly and be frame dependent. Anything else I changed? Well, here, obviously. This did not need a delta time because it is a fixed rotation based on the velocity, which I do have access to. Not based on acceleration or anything else, it's based on just the velocity. As it's an arcade game, it's not exactly meant to be realistic physics. Oh yes, rather than being vector freeze, which is perfectly valid, I switched everything to vector 2s because they are simpler things to work with and I don't need to put a random 0.0f in when I'm working with 2D. I wish I knew. Oh, it's not used. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yes, it is default behavior, but it looks nice. So, thank you for watching. I think that's everything. Actually, let's have a look. I use my own colours for this because I like my own colours. He shouldn't decide everything for me, should he? If I do an update to this video, I will do a new video and explain my changes to his tutorial. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, and remember, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel and like it.